Guten Abend. Deutsch 101. Die Schweiz, Österreich, Deutschland. Das sind 3 Fahnen oder Flaggen. Links haben wir die Schweiz, in der Mitte Österreich und rechts Deutschland. Da spricht man Deutsch. In diesen Ländern spricht man Deutsch. Guten Abend. Wie geht es Ihnen? Ich heiße Franziska Wentworth. Ich bin Ihre Lehrerin. Ich wohne in Kalifornien. Und Sie? Wie heißen Sie? Wo wohnen Sie? SZ. What is it? This is a special character for the sound of S when it sounds like a snake. S. The character is used when you want that S sound after a long vowel. After short vowel sound, you use the double S. For example, ich heiße Sarah. When you have EI, this is a long vowel sound, but you want the S to sound like a snake. S. Same with das Auto ist weiß, the color white, weiß. But when you have a short vowel like wissen, the I is short, you just use double S. So pronouns and articles in German. So we have the masculine der, feminine die, neuter das. So there are 3 kinds of articles that mean the, der, die, das, in German. And it depends on the gender of the person or the item. And then the masculine for he is er, she, sie, and neuter es, which is like it, except in German each person and item, noun, has a gender, and the best way to learn them is to learn them together. For example, you have die Bluse, the blouse. So always learn them together. Die Bluse ist rot. Sie ist rot, and that's the pronoun, sie. Der Wagen ist klein. So this is for the car. Der Wagen is masculine. So you'd say er ist klein. Das Zimmer ist groß. Es ist groß. Meaning the room is large. And here you have a long vowel, the O sound, so you need the SZ character, groß. Indefinite articles. So definite articles you just saw in the previous slide. Definite articles are the. In English we have the. Indefinite articles is a or an. In German you have ein, eine, and for the negative, kein, keine. So the masculine would say ein Wagen, a car. The negative, kein Wagen, no car. Eine Studentin, a female student. Keine Studenten, no female student. Ein Buch, a book. Kein Buch, no book. The verbs, you need to learn these endings. So all the regular verbs have this pattern. So the best thing to do is learn them again together with the pronoun. So learn ich lerne, I learn. Ich lerne, du lernst. For he, she, it, es, sie, es lernt. Sie lernen, this is the capital S, which means you formal, both singular and plural. Wir lernen, we learn. Ihr lernt, this is the informal plural. Sie lernen. So you can see there are a lot more changes than what we have in English. So just learn them together, the pronoun with the verb and the correct ending. Here's another way to look at the verb. Fragen, to ask, is another verb that's regular. Ich frage. And by the way, ich is only capitalized at the beginning of a sentence. It is not capitalized as we capitalize I in English. So if you have it in the middle of a sentence, you wouldn't capitalize it. Ich frage. Du, this is the informal you, du fragst. Er, es, sie fragt. Wir fragen, ihr fragt, Sie fragen, and then the capital S, Sie fragen. So remember, that's the you formal and singular and plural. So you do have some changes in spelling in the regular verbs. So if you have stems, so the stem is when I take off the en. If you have stems that end in T or D, you have to insert another E in order to make it pronounceable. So the stem is the part before the en. So German verbs end, and nearly all of them with few exceptions, the ending is en. So when you make the changes, you take off the en and add the changes. So if I go back a slide, like fragen, the verb is fragen with en. So I take off the en and I add the correct endings depending on the pronoun. So for ich, you just add e, frage. So when we're looking at ones that end in D or T, you have to, so ich antworte, that's the same. Take off the en, add e. But when you have du antwortest, it's not possible to pronounce T, ST, right? The correct ending here, fragen, you just put ST. But when it ends in T, you have to insert an E, so you can pronounce it. Du antwortest. And the same is the case with er and sie, and also s. Antwortet. Wir antworten. Ihr antwortet. You have to add an E there. Sie antworten, and the sie antworten, no change. So you're really just looking at the change in the du form, in the er, sie, s form, and the ihr form. And then you also have spelling changes in the second person, singular, if the stem ends in s, sz, or z. And there's a logical reason for this because, again, if I go back to this form, fragen, regular, when you add st, that's the du form. But if it ends in s already, and I add another s, that's too many s's. So, du reist, the s is the stem, reisen, R-E-I-S would be the stem, so you're only going to add T, not S-T. Same is the case with tanzen, to dance. You won't add Z and then S-T, only T, du tanzt. And heißen, same thing, du heißt. So you're really just dropping that other, either S, SZ, or Z before you add it. In other words, you don't add ST, just add T. And then another one that is irregular that doesn't have en is the verb tun, to do. And this one you would just take off the n and then add the correct endings. So sein, this is the verb to be. And as in many languages, the verb sein, or to be, is irregular. So in German, this is also the case. So this is different from the other regular verbs we just looked at. So ich bin, and again, when you learn these, learn them together. Learn ich bin. Don't only learn bin. So that way you always know they go together. Ich bin, du bist, er, sie, es ist, wir sind, ihr seid, sie sind und sie sind. In questions, the order is reversed. Seid ihr aus Amerika? Sind Sie Frau Bender? Bist du meine Mitbewohnerin? So for questions, you see, you start with the verb. Like we do with to be in English, we say, are you from America? Are you Mrs. Bender? And so on. And while we're talking about this, when you, formal versus informal, whenever you address someone as Frau or Herr, you're going to use the formal. If you use first name, you're on a first name basis, then you use du, the du form. So here we're looking at the personal pronouns, which we've seen before, but you have ich, which is for I, du, second person informal, for masculine third person, so he, es, which is it, third person, und sie, which is she. Wir, which is we. Ihr, second person informal. Sie, third person, so this is the equivalent of they. And then you have the sie capitalized, which is the you formal singular, and it's the same for the you formal plural. So there's no such thing, when we're doing yes-no questions, German doesn't have a do-does form. It also doesn't have an ing form. So you don't say, are you going? There's no such thing in German. You have one present tense. So when you start a question, you just begin with a verb, and you just reverse the verb and the subject. So you have scheint die Sonne heute? So literally that's shines the sun today. Of course, in English we would say, is the sun shining today? But German has no equivalent for that. So scheint die Sonne heute? Ja, sie scheint, oder nein, sie scheint nicht. Gehst du heute in die Mensa? So this would be, go you today to the cafeteria? In English we would say, are you going? But there's no such thing in German, so gehst du. You're just going to use the simple present. And then when you have WH word order verbs, the verb just follows the WH word. So wo, this is where. Wo ist Salzburg? Salzburg ist in Österreich. All right. So where is Salzburg? Salzburg is in Austria. Wie ist das Wetter heute? So the wie is how. How is the weather today? Wie ist das Wetter heute? Was, this is what. Was zeigt der Thermometer? So what does the thermometer show? Was zeigt? Wohin? This is always in the direction away from the speaker. So this means where to. So this would be like, where to go you now? Wohin gehst du jetzt? Of course, in English we wouldn't say it that way, but in German you have the wohin, which means where to. Wer ist diese Frau? Wer is who? Who is this woman? Woher? So this is from where. So wohin is away from the speaker, woher is from where. So woher ist Martin? Where is Martin from? Woher ist Martin? Martin ist aus Deutschland. And then we also say, what is your mother's name? You would say, wie heißt ihre Mutter? So if we're saying, what is your name? It is much more common to use the verb heißen, which really means called. How is your mother called? How do you call your mother? But that means, what is her name? It's less common to say, ihr Name ist Alicia. Sie heißt Alicia would be more common. And then some of other word order, when we talk about, in German, time is before place. In English, it's the reverse. So, ich gehe jetzt nach Hause. Right? We would say, I'm going home now. In German, it's I go now home. Ich gehe jetzt nach Hause. Sam geht 6 Uhr in die Bibliothek. Right? Sam goes at 6 o'clock to the library. We would have Sam goes to the library at 6 o'clock. So German, your time comes first, then the place. It's also often with other direct objects. So spielt jeden Tag Gitarre. He plays guitar every day. So here it means he plays everyday guitar. Trinkt jeden Morgen Kaffee mit Milch. He drinks every morning coffee with milk. And then nicht, this is to negate a sentence. Es ist nicht kalt. So it's like saying not. It is not cold. Nicht is after the verb. Es ist nicht. Ist nicht. So es ist nicht kalt. Ist nicht zu Hause. Right? He is not at home. Zu Hause. And when you negate an ein word, you use kein. So you say, das ist ein Hund. That is a dog. Das ist kein Hund. That isn't a dog. So that's more common to say that way. Es ist, das ist, that is, kein Hund. So a little practice. Wie heißt du? You would answer, ich heiße, and your name. Woher kommst du? Ich komme. Remember, you're going to put I for your ending. Ich komme aus Österreich. Wo wohnst du jetzt? Where do you live now? Wo wohnst du jetzt? Ich wohne in Kalifornien. Wie alt ist dein bester Freund oder deine beste Freundin? So this is asking how old is your best friend for masculine, bester Freund, or deine beste Freundin if it's a feminine, if it's a woman. So how old is your best friend? You would answer, meine beste Freundin ist 35 Jahre alt. Like English, you have to say years old. You have to say both. She's 35 years old. Sie ist 35 Jahre alt. Und das ist das Ende.